We're doing an incredible discussion on Bill Maher between he and Mark Cuban and Joe Scarborough. I think we have a unique take on it. I love philosophy and I like Bill Maher, and because Bill Maher loves free speech, and so do I. He and I we completely disagree on Trump, and that's fine. Guys, we have to get better at this, okay? Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is the Doug TenNapel channel. Thank you for joining me and for watching. This is going to be good, so stick with me.
We've talked about entrepreneurs and what makes America great. You know what makes our economy, what sustains our economy? The rule of law. And that's what I believe is at stake at this election.
So Joe Scarborough, and I totally get where he's coming from because I believe the same thing. The rule of law is at stake in this election. Both sides believe that. Democracy's on the ballot. Free speech is on the ballot.
More dangerous than any baseless smear, our own government institutions, which exist to serve the people, they are being weaponized against us.
Constitutionalness is on the ballot. We just disagree because of our values. Which side is more dangerous?
The great thing about America is an idiot makes a decision like that based on politics instead of based on what their job is. You can take it to the courts.
So now they're talking about Elon Musk taking someone to court because they would not let his rockets go off around some California area where there's an Air Force base. And Joe Scarborough there is saying that he can take it to court over this one idiot, this one bureaucrat who's a liberal, who said she wouldn't let Musk shoot off as many rockets because he injected himself into the presidential election because of his politics. Joe Scarborough thinks that Elon Musk can find justice in a California court. What if they agree with that corporate head, which is entirely like
the Department of Homeland Security declared a heightened domestic terrorism threat due to three factors. The first of which is, quote, the proliferation of false or misleading narratives which sow discord or undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions, end of quote. They are the ones who get to decide what those false or misleading narratives are.
That they see what Elon Musk is tweeting and believing in and supporting and backing Trump is an existential crisis to the survival of this country, rule of law, the courts, and all that.
The courts will overturn it, and I guarantee you they're gonna have that decision overturned, and they're gonna have to find another reason, a better reason, a more relevant reason to deny.
And they'll learn a harder lesson. He'll just move more of his production and more of his launches somewhere else.
These guys have way more confidence in our court system than I do. I can't sell a project into Hollywood now. I just talked to one of my liberal friends. We're totally divided on politics, and he's a Christian brother too. But there's no way I could take a company to court. Elon Musk can afford it. Normal people where your career is ended, you cannot take them to court. So even Joe Scarborough and Mark Cuban thinking that's some kind of great solution, even Mark Cuban said he'll just go to a different state. That's what he's going to have to do.
Former CIA Director John Brennan said in 2021 that, quote, members of the Biden team are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas. An unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, and even libertarians, end of quote.
I'm talking about legality of getting fairness from a judge or a court. You're not going to get it in California.
To Florida or to Texas,
yeah,
wherever.
Exactly.
I mean, they'll learn the hard way.
They'll learn the hard way. Yeah, the market will respond, and Elon Musk is a big part of that market, and I champion him. I'm right on for him. But what about all the actors in Hollywood that get canceled? What about the professors? I can show you the numbers of professors in universities. It's like 92% liberal. If they're hiring professors and they find out you're a Trump supporter, guess what? What happens if you're a scientist and you disagree with climate change or whatever? You get no funding, okay? So it's not like it's all equal.
But it's just the attitude that I find scary, that they're far too willing to stifle freedoms, including speech, for the sake of safety.
Safety is a big one. Everyone believes they're saving the country. Now, I won't crush someone else's free speech. I draw a line there. If you disagree and I think you're dangerous for the country, I will let you speak. Democrats don't do that, and the left doesn't do that. And
Attorney General Garland charged his newly created domestic terrorism unit with targeting those who hold, quote, anti-authority views. That included parents who dared to protest at Board of Education meetings, concerned and standing up for the right for themselves to have a say in their children's education. A draft copy of the Department of Homeland Security Quadrennial Homeland Security Review outlined their intent to target, quote unquote, inaccurate information on a whole host of topics, to include the origins of COVID, vaccines, the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and U.S. support to Ukraine. Their misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation team exists to, quote, counter all types of disinformation. Once again, they get to determine what this disinformation is.
Bill Maher, who's on the left, is one of the few. He's a dinosaur. He's like a prehensile tail. He's an appendix that's about to get edited out because he is not going to be able to live in that party if he's pro-free speech.
Or misinformation, sometimes, which is coming from everybody. It's, no one has a monopoly on it.
That's where he gets into trouble with Joe Scarborough, because he said that both sides have a problem with misinformation. Now, I disagree with Bill Maher on what he thinks is misinformation, stuff that Trump might believe. I don't believe everything Trump believes either, but I know some of the things they call misinformation from him and Elon Musk, I would agree with. And then I think their side has a problem with misinformation. So at least Bill Maher and I, we agree that both sides look at the other side and say, you have a dangerous grasp of information and you put out a lot of misinformation.
Or just power.
You say nobody
it's just
has
power.
A monopoly on it. Come on. That's some moral relativism right there.
He says moral relativism, and I don't think he means it. Moral relativism is when you believe that morals are relative to yourself. Maybe with a stretch of that definition, I think he means moral equivalence, like the idea that both sides equally participate in misinformation. And Joe Scarborough and, both sides, okay, the right and the left believe there's such a thing as misinformation on both sides. But the reason why I'm a right-wing, conservative, Christian Trump supporter is because I believe there may be misinformation on my side, but it's not as dangerous or crucial or critical or anti-constitutional as the other side.
People don't realize just how much government involvement there is in the media, and like how much the government influences the media. I mean, it's crazy how, you'll see whoever's manipulating the media should mix it up a bit because they're really not doing a great job.
Now, Joe Scarborough is just saying that he believes the same thing. He goes, my side is not as dangerous with our misinformation. There's no moral equivalence to what they do. So all we're doing now, all I'm trying to do is I can't get Scarborough to agree, but I think a normal thinking person I can get to agree that we both believe that the other side has a dangerous amount of disinformation, and that's why we disagree, and that's why we're on our side. That goes for Margie Taylor Greene and Ilhan Omar.
I said nobody has a monopoly.
You said nobody has a monopoly on it, but that's like saying nobody has a monopoly on being a billionaire. He's got that monopoly up here. I mean, he's got more money than us.
That's a really poor example. Okay, he's going to lose Bill Maher here.
A lot more money than us. So,
I don't get the analogy.
You don't get it?
I don't know what point you're making.
Yeah, Bill doesn't get the analogy. It's a very bad analogy. I think he's going to unpack it a little better here. So maybe don't do analogies, Joe. Stick to just say what you mean.
Well, you're saying it's both sides, isn't it?
Well,
there is no doubt.
There's no misinformation.
There's some disinformation from the left, but comparing it to what Donald Trump spews out every day, every week, comparing it to what Elon Musk is spewing out, unfortunately, on X, there's
Well, and I would even say that Joe Scarborough puts out even more disinformation than Trump, than Elon Musk. I saw him cover the 5 court cases and back them up as totally legal, which I believe they're totally illegit. Again, he can disagree, but he's just unable to empathize with his opponent. And that's a key. And this is my message to conservatives, because my audience is full of conservatives. We have to empathize and put it out there with seeing things through the other side. Because on November 6th, if Trump, no matter who wins, we're going to have an existential crisis in America where the other side is going to go, it's over. That's why I always appeal to the patriot to stay in the game, because we don't know how this election is going to go. I believe Trump's going to win. I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win. Anything can happen. If Trump wins, the entire left, it could be like 1/4 of this country will believe like we're in an existential crisis, like we're in a civil war.
A week before the debate between Biden and Trump, and everyone was on the media was saying Biden was sharp as a tack. Sharp as a tack, sharp as a tack, sharp as a tack, sharp as a tack. You're like, you should mix it up a little. Get a thesaurus. The NBC media puppets were just all saying exactly the same thing.
I've never argued with that. I've never argued of the false equivalency. I just said there is misinformation from both sides.
Sorry.
No, I lived through COVID. Don't tell me there wasn't
always has been.
misinformation.
I can't even talk about COVID on this channel. That tells you how bad the misinformation thing is. I can't talk about it or you get in trouble.
I lived through stupid policies based on bad information and stifled information.
intent matters.
That's what Zuckerberg said. He said they were forcing us not to put out.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg revealed on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast recently that Facebook limited the exposure of the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story just weeks ahead of the 2020 election, only after talking with the FBI. Twitter took similar action, but they recently apologized for doing so, recognizing that their decision was wrong. The cozy relationship between the White House officials, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and big tech is now well documented and results in private companies not restricted by the First Amendment doing the dirty censorship work of those in government who are not legally allowed to do so themselves.
And he backs it up with facts that it's all the way up to the point of the world's biggest platform is Facebook. And he wrote a letter saying the government came down on him and he didn't fight it enough on free speech. So Joe Scarborough is still sitting there going, no, but Trump's worse, Elon's worse, Elon's worse, Trump's worse. I lived through COVID and the lockdowns and potential vaccine passports and all that. And just the hatred of people where they believe that if you didn't wear a mask that you were killing someone. And I'm not going to weigh in on whether if you agree with that or not. I can't on this channel. I'm only saying we all know what we lived through.
So, it's just kind of strange. Do they all just get the same memo at the same time? I don't know. Where does it come in? I want to see the group text, okay? Is there like an email copy list or what? Everyone say the same thing at the same time. Yeah, just total puppets.
Matters, right? Even back then, they were trying to save lives, even if they did it the wrong way.
Now, there's Mark Cuban giving defense of the pro-COVID, lockdowns and all that. And I totally agree with them. Not that they should have done it, but that I can see with my empathy beam going to the other side going, yes, they really believed they were saving lives. And they believed if you didn't wear a mask or didn't get vaccinated, that you were costing lives. I can see that. I think a normal person should be able to see that. The idea is to give the other side at least that they intend well. You have to apply that. That's Mark Cuban and Joe Scarborough and Bill Maher. You have to apply that good intent to Trump and to Elon Musk and to me and to Marjorie Taylor Greene and to Ted Cruz, Dan Bongino, name the right winger. You can say you disagree, but we believe we're saving the life of this country in supporting Trump. I'm Doug in Exile. What do you think?